Hey, I'm Melissa.
And I'm Whitney.
We started this true crime podcast over a glass of wine and quickly turned from true crime listeners into true crime advocates.
So get comfy, pop a cork, and grab a glass because we have work to do.
This is Cults, Crimes, and Cabernet.
Some content may be unsuitable for sensitive listeners. Discretion is advised.
Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. We had an excellent weekend.
We really did. I love when we get to go on trips together, not only for our advocating work, but just to see each other.
For like best friend sanity. Sanity? Best friend?
Yeah.
Sure, we'll call it that.
Yes, it was a great weekend. We got to hang out with some of our favorite people. We missed a lot of people that weren't able to make it, but it is a busy time of the year.
It sure is. And we got to do, like you said, what we love to do, advocating. We went ahead and got our Q2 Merlot files case done. We've done our advocating. We've done our traveling around the area, checking it out. And this one was an interesting one. I think this is the youngest child case that we have done.
Yeah, I agree. I think we typically stay away from the children because the last child case
was rough.
It was very rough.
Yep. So keep an eye out. It probably won't come out till closer to the end of the quarter, but keep an eye out for it because it's coming, guys.
Yes. We also have TCPF coming up in August. You're starting to make your plans for summer. Make sure you remember that. It is going to be in Austin, Texas this year.
It is. That is the True Crime and Paranormal Podcast Festival. So come hang out with us and all of our friends and check it out. It's really cool. It's the end of August. So it's that perfect time of get your kids back in school, but then go have a weekend on your own. Come on down to Austin.
Good times.
Oh, you can use the code Cabernet on the website and get a discount.
Oh, I forget about that every time. Thank you for remembering because we all love discounts.
Yes, you're welcome. And next up, before we even get to August, we have a live on this Thursday, and we've got an author coming on. I'm pretty interested to hear all about his book.
Yes, I'm looking forward to that. I love it when we get authors on the lives. They're just so interesting.
Yes, they are. So come hang out with us this Thursday, 8 p.m. Central on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, your choice. Take your pick. We'll be live on almost all of our channels. And that's it. What wine you got?
I have a Sauvignon Blanc 2021. It is called Coile Costa. It's from San Antonio. Woohoo for Texas
wine.
Yes.
Does it taste a little bit like dirt?
No, it's actually organically grown grapes as well.
Wow.
I
it's
know.
Fancy pants for Texas.
Pretty legit. I actually love this. It's a nice balance between the dry and sweet wines. And that's where I've been gravitating towards lately. It says the place of origin for this special wine is ancient granite coastal soil spread across gentle rolling hills. Look, they're descriptive words right there. San Antonio sounds like an amazing place and love it. Love it. It's a good wine.
Is it a red or a white?
It's a white.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Yep. Definitely delish.
All right. So let's get into it.
Right. Nashua, New Hampshire is a city in the southern part of the state. In the 2020 census, it had a population of just under 100,000 people. The weather in this area is probably what we all imagine it. It has very short spring and fall transitions with long, humid summers and very cold winters, full of snow. So that would be a no-go for me. I love the heat. And will continue to live in the shit show of the United States, which is Florida.
Closely followed behind Texas.
I will take it over the crazy snow that they have up in New Hampshire.
Absolutely. I don't mind snow, but only for a 4 days max. Give me a weekend of snow and then I'm done.
Exactly. I would be so depressed if I couldn't go outside. This city has a long list of famous people, including Ralph H. Baer, who invented the home video game console. He started this remarkable invention in 1966 when he was playing around with the idea of playing games on the television screen. Ralph and two other engineers developed the Brown Box console video game system. And it was named this because of the brown tape that they wrapped the unit in to simulate wood veneer. So that is how back in the day we are talking.
Wow.
Yeah,
So this is the OG Nintendo.
exactly. So I have boys, and when I discovered this fact, I was amazed that I might know something more about video games than they do.
Hold on to this tidbit because it's going to come up in a trivia night. I feel like, when you go to those restaurants that have the on TV trivia,
Oh,
this could be
yes.
one of them.
You never, ever know. So another inventor, Thomas Reardon, he was a neuroscientist and created Microsoft Internet Explorer.
I'm so happy that he created the first basically internet browser, but too bad it sucks now. No one
Exactly.
uses Internet Explorer anymore. So thanks for the original invention, but thanks for allowing other companies to improve and give us better options.
Exactly. There's so many incredibly intelligent inventors in this area, just boggles my mind. Also, not an inventor, but pretty famous, Mandy Moore is from this town as well.
I always thought she was from the South, but clearly I'm wrong.
Nope, she seems like a Southern belle. That's because she's always played those type of people in the movies.
Probably like a walk to remember Mandy
Oh my
Moore.
God, yes. Is the pinnacle of Mandy Moore.
Exactly. It's where we all fell in love with her.
Yes. Oh, that's such a sad movie. Oh. Nashua, New Hampshire's crime rate is pretty decent. It has a rating of 41 out of 100, according to neighborhoodscout.com. So this town is safer than 41% of other cities in the United States. The violent crime rate is right on par for the rest of New Hampshire, and it is vastly lower than the rest of the United States. We're talking like less than half the crime as
Oh,
the rest
dang.
average. Yeah, so it's a pretty safe place. The missing person in today's episode was in a neighborhood called Crown Hill. This area does have the most crime for this town, but it's still significantly lower than most other places. An interesting fact about the demographic of this neighborhood, it has more French Canadian and Finnish ancestry people living in it than nearly any other neighborhood in America. There's 14.1% of the residents come from French Canadian ancestry. I love finding these little notable things that makes each of the areas we cover special, because after you do this for so many years, you're like, okay, here's another small town with another murder. But no, each of these small towns or towns in general have something amazing about them.
I love the little fun facts that we find also. I'm honestly concerned that by season 5, we are going to run out of fun facts for these different places.
That there is a possibility. It'll be like largest ball of yarn, largest thimble, and we'll have to find some, dig deeper.
Or, yeah, start doing, they have 6,000 ears of corn here every Tuesday or something.
Exactly. Someone did something in that town at some point, and we will find it.
Michael McClain vanished after visiting the Tropical Lounge in Nashua, and there's been no sign of him since.
On today's episode, I will be covering the missing person case of Michael Anthony McClain. He was born February 5th, 1990, in Sanford, Connecticut. He lived here throughout his childhood and would end up graduating from Sanford High School in 2008. Then he went on to study criminal justice at Mount Washington College. Michael would eventually move to Manchester, New Hampshire, and start working for a nonprofit called Easter Seals, where he worked with autistic children. According to their website, their mission is to provide plans of care comprised of thoughtfully integrated services that help those with varied abilities live, learn, work, and play throughout their lifetime. This was incredible work being done by an incredible man. Michael was described as a caring, genuine, and helpful man that loved children. On the night of April 20th, 2019, Michael went out with a couple of friends to a bar called Tropical Lounge, and that is there in Nashua, New Hampshire. This establishment has since closed its doors permanently, so it's no longer there. I do believe it is another bar, though. This is about a 30-minute drive from where Michael lived in Manchester, and he wasn't really familiar with this area. He just went with his friends. They were having a very nice time hanging out on this Saturday night, but around 1:30 a.m., two women started fighting or getting ready to fight, having words with each other. And it has been reported that Michael may have known of one of these women, but I was not able to actually confirm this information. The women somehow take the fight outside as the lounge was getting ready to close. Michael tried to intervene and prevent it from escalating. Of course, a crowd starts to form around these women because, let's face it, that is what our society does when something like this is going on. Everyone stands around recording instead of helping the situation. Everyone but Michael, because he was trying to break up the fight.
Good for Michael.
I know. Police arrive around 1:45 a.m. to deal with the situation, which makes all the bystanders disperse pretty quickly. Somehow, in all this commotion, Michael and his friends get separated, and they're unable to locate him. They wait around for about 45 minutes at the lounge, seeing if Michael would make his way back over there, but to no avail. He did not come back. So they end up going back to the friend's house where Michael's car is parked to see if he maybe walked all the way back to his vehicle. The car was still sitting outside of the house, and there was still no sign of Michael. Of course, they tried to call his cell phone a few times, but were not getting any answer. So like I said, Michael lived in Manchester, a 30-minute drive from where they were. So it's not likely that Michael would try to walk all this way, especially when he knew his car was about a mile away. It just does not make sense that he wasn't in those particular places where he should have been. We do have a pretty decent timeline for Michael's movements after he left Tropical Lounge, thanks to cell phone records and surveillance footage. Police state that Michael left the lounge around 1:44, 1:45, right around the time that the police arrived to break up the fight. Don't ask me how they actually have this time, because if they're breaking up a fight, why or how would they even know unless it was on surveillance footage of Michael walking away? At 1:49 a.m., Michael made a call to his boss. This call lasted 2 minutes and 16 seconds. He does speak with her, but it's a weird call, according to her. She stated that Michael said, "They're chasing me. There's more than one." Then the call gets disconnected for an unknown reason, but the boss tries to call back at 1:51 a.m., but Michael does not answer. Now, because obviously when I heard that he called his boss this late, I'm like, oh my God, who does that? It must have been like a butt dial, completely accidental. Oops. But like that would be the last person I would want to call after a night of drinking. But the relationship that Michael and his boss had, they were also friends. She would occasionally pick him up from the bar, vice versa. Like they had each other's back outside of work and not just in work. So it isn't that abnormal that if he did make this call on purpose,
Yes.
that he would call her.
I will say that it would be a terrible nightmare of mine if I called my employer after a night of drinking on accident. You see it on like comedy movies where they've called their boss and left it like a horrifically embarrassing voicemail, a horrifically embarrassing voicemail. That's what I'm picturing as you're telling me this to begin with.
I just think of the movie Hangover and everything that could possibly go wrong goes wrong, including calling your boss.
Yeah,
So
and maybe putting a tiger in a bathroom. We don't know.
exactly. That's why I wanted to preface this by saying, hey, they were friends enough where it wasn't crazy that he called her. So she tries to call him back at 1:51. So as soon as they get off the phone, whatever reason they got off the phone, and she tries to call him back, he does not answer. Minutes later, the first of some weird texts are sent from Michael's phone. So at 1:56 a.m., the text says, help, LOL, R, like just the letter R. And then the next text message is, Wada stood aloof. All right. And then at 2:15, another text from the phone is sent stating, Eldridge Bro. Okay. Eldridge does happen to be a street, or it's more of an alleyway right there in the vicinity of Tropical Lounge. Okay, so that is like really the only text that makes sense so far. Maybe he was trying to communicate where he was at to someone. But remember, he doesn't know this area. So he would have to be looking at the sign in order to know that this little tiny back alley street is called Eldridge.
Sure.
Then another text comes through at 2:18 and it says FUCK space I space BITXU. I can guess that this one is the F word. Maybe it's supposed to be FU and then the B word. Possibility of that.
If anything, it's almost like an angry text. When I get angry or upset or a lot of emotion and I'm trying to quickly text, I make more mistakes.
Yes. Seems like he was either in a rush, he's angry, something. It has never been released on who these text messages were sent to. So we don't even know where they were going. So in all of this time, his boss is texting him, trying to get contact with him again to see if she needs to come pick him up. She's called and texted a couple times during this period. And it seems like he's still using his phone, but he never responds to her, never picks up one of her calls. Again, his friends are trying to call him as well, and he is not answering those calls either. Many suggest that Michael is running or frantic about someone chasing him, and these texts are made quickly without much regard for being spelled correctly. The next time we know Michael's location, it's somewhere between 2 a.m. and 2:30. He is seen by witnesses and surveillance at a McDonald's just down the road, less than half a mile from Tropical Lounge. He does not appear to be in distress at this point. His boss would call again at 2:25, no answer. So he should be at this McDonald's at this point. And this would be the last time his phone pings at this McDonald's before the 2:30 a.m. timeframe on April 21st. However, that is not the last time we know where Michael is, because he leaves the McDonald's around 2:30, heads down the road to a Speedway gas station. He goes inside and asks to use the phone. So, of course, my thoughts are his phone died while he's at McDonald's, and now he needs to contact someone for a ride, possibly. That would make the most sense to me.
That's the most logical explanation thus far.
Police have not released anything as far as this phone call goes at the gas station. We do not know if he even made the call. We do not know who he was wanting to call. We don't even know if he got a hold of anyone, if he even made the call. We don't know anything about what happened at that gas station. We just know that he asked to use the phone there. He eventually leaves this gas station. We don't really know a time frame for that. The next time that we know where he is at won't be until 3:30 a.m. And he is seen on surveillance again. He is seen on camera walking into a local apartment complex. We don't have the exact time when he arrived here. Police have it. We do not. And when police spoke with Michael's parents, they provided them with a still image of him walking into this apartment complex, but it was angled in a way where you couldn't see the time stamp on it. His dad would state that he even brought this up to police. Hey, why isn't the timestamp on here? How can I see what time it is in this angle? And they're like, oh, it's just the angle of the picture. Just brushed him off and didn't tell him. But we do know at 3:30 a.m. he is seen on camera again leaving the complex. So we do have a timestamp on that one.
Okay.
In this footage, he does not appear to be staggering or swaying as if he was intoxicated. He just seems to be walking straight and is in decent control of his body. These apartments are called Residence at Riverfront Landing, and they're pretty decent apartments. They're rated a 4.2 out of 5 on Google, and the reviews are overwhelmingly positive. There are a few outliers that gave a 1 star for noise from the above tenants, but it's not really something that the apartments can completely control. But they're nice apartments. Michael's parents stated again that Michael did not know this area. He didn't know anyone that lived in these apartments. And as far as they know, he'd never been to them before. He didn't frequent this area. So why would he go to these apartments at night? Is it because he wanted to make whoever could possibly be following him, make them think that, oh, he arrived home and this is where he lives, to only sneak out the back when they weren't looking if there was someone following him? The last confirmed sighting of Michael is at 3:30 a.m., leaving those apartments out of the parking garage towards the back of the building. After Michael walks out of this surveillance camera's view, he is not seen again. This area has a small patch of grass and then a driveway and then a line of trees that go along the side of the Merrimack River. It has been reported that there's about 500 feet between where Michael would be walking and then this body of water.
I was going to ask, so this river, is there a large embankment, but is there an embankment that goes down into the river, maybe like a steep incline?
Not right at first. At first, there is thick trees. So you'd have to go through these trees, a wooded area. And then once you get closer, there's boulders and hills and almost like a ravine. I will post some pictures of what it looks like
Okay.
because it's not the easiest place to walk. A few possible theories was that Michael was just walking in the area. He didn't know. He became disoriented with it being so dark out. He stumbled through the wooded area and fell into this river. There were a few witnesses that came forward that stated they heard someone calling for help in the water on the Nashua side of the Merrimack River. So to explain, this river is the border between the town of Nashua and Hudson. So when the witnesses gave their statement, they said they heard the calls from the side closer to where Michael was last seen. And this was around the 3:30 timeframe. Authorities did conduct a search using boats, sonar, and a dive team, but they did not find any trace of Michael. Searches along the riverbank were also conducted without it leading to any clues into anything. Could someone have been following him? And this is why he went to the McDonald's to hang out for a while in safety. But then why leave? Why not call the friends he was with that night to come pick him up? Did the people following him have anything to do with the fight he broke up? In the surveillance footage that has never been released to the public, police state no one is following Michael, and he didn't look distraught when he was at McDonald's or the Speedway gas station. So they say there is no evidence that suggests Michael was being followed at all. A few rumors out there were that Michael was dancing with a woman at the Tropical Lounge and her ex-boyfriend was not happy about this. There's also zero evidence that points to this ever happening either. Police have spoken with a lot of the patrons there that night, and no one reported Michael being in an altercation with anyone. The only thing that was reported was him trying to break up the fight between the women. This is just one of those cases that seem like it should be solved by now. If he fell into the river, they would have found him, in my mind. His dad stated in an interview with Tim and Lance from Crawlspace that there was no blood or anything if he would have slipped on one of the boulders and fallen into the river. Nothing like that was over there.
This case is hitting way too close to home for us right now.
Oh, I know. And I talk about that in just a second because it's crazy. We know, and I had this case picked prior to us getting involved in the Lady Bird Lake situation. So we know where Michael was and at what time. So what could have possibly happened to him between the hours of 3:30 a.m. and daybreak? Obviously, falling into the river seems like the most plausible scenario. So I wanted to find out more about this Merrimack River. Michael's parents stated he was an excellent swimmer, so they don't believe he would have drowned. But according to Newburyport News, the Merrimack often may appear placid, but millions of gallons of water are flowing past any given point each minute. The flow rate of the Merrimack at the U.S. Geological Survey at Lowell this past week averaged about 4,500 cubic feet per second. That's 2 million gallons of water per minute going through this particular area.
That's a
Enormous.
lot of water.
It's a lot of water.
Yeah.
I tried to find the depth of the river around Nashua in particular, and I did just have so many issues finding that data. I did find a few facts, though. The deepest part is over 46 feet deep. However, in the Nashua area, it isn't that deep, but it does have drop-off areas where the water will go from around 8 to 10 feet, and then it will literally just go down another 20 feet, which is crazy. And in the pitch black darkness and not knowing even which way will get you to the riverbank, I can definitely see someone accidentally drowning. In my deep search to find out how deep this river was, I stumbled upon a few social media groups and random articles that claim there could be a serial killer dumping bodies in the Merrimack River. The victimology is all over the place, unlike the men being pulled from Ladybird Lake in Austin, Texas. If you haven't listened to the overview of that we released in the last week, get over there and listen to it. This is going to be a series of episodes talking about each of the men as well, because it is around 30 men being pulled from this body of water. So a lot of information to sort through, but we're working on that as well.
And it's so, just like this case that you're talking about right now, it's so strange that this can happen.
As far as this Merrimack River situation, it's not out of the question that a person or multiple people may have caused some of these deaths in this New Hampshire area. This is another person's story that has way more questions than answers. And hopefully one day the family will know what happened. Michael McClain is an African American male with black hair and brown eyes. However, he would occasionally wear green tinted contacts. He stands 5 foot, 10 inches tall, and weighs 190 pounds. Michael has multiple tattoos on his arms and hands, including waves, the name Justice, spelled with an S, a snake, a cross, a basketball, and the letter N. He also has tattoos on his chest. At the time of his disappearance, his hair was styled in braids or cornrows, and he also had a goatee. Michael was last seen wearing a black t-shirt with a white logo, jeans, and red and white sneakers. He was wearing 1 or 2 gold chain necklaces, a bracelet, and a watch. I will post an image that was taken from the Speedway gas station that shows exactly what he was wearing the night he disappeared. And hopefully that can jog some people's memories. Anyone with information on this case or Michael McClain's whereabouts is asked to please contact the Manchester, New Hampshire police at 603-668-8711 or the Nashua, New Hampshire police at 603-594-3500. And you can request to remain anonymous.
Wow.
Yes, so many mixed feelings with this being so close to the Ladybird Lake investigation that we have been looking into.
It is interesting, and that you chose this before we dove into all of this that's going on here in Austin. It's wow. And I just
Exactly.
can't, to me, I understand that accidents happen and people fall in bodies of water all the time and can't get out, especially if there's alcohol involved or extenuating circumstances. But man, it just doesn't seem real that this can be as common as people seem to think it is, or as investigators are seemingly saying that it is.
Exactly. Yes. It's definitely crazy. And this one, considering it was a river that goes somewhere else, I
Sure.
can see it happening a bit more than in the Ladybird Lake because there's nowhere to go in that situation in Austin.
Yeah, it's fairly calm waters. This is a rushing river that with that much water going through it, I can see where you can easily be swept away. This one's a little
Found,
more,
but yes,
this one's a little more understandable in that situation.
yes. But just the text messages and the phone calls that he
Mhm.
made, that's all just very strange and out of character for Michael, that is for sure.
Did law enforcement ever list any sort of foul play, or are they just chalking it up to an accident?
He's listed as a missing person only, not
Okay.
even
Not even endangered?
not even an endangered missing
Mm.
person. Yes. They searched the river right there, but that did not turn up anything.
Yeah.
But that's basically it. And this did not get a lot of coverage.
Okay. Wow.
All
So
right.
that's New Hampshire. Just by listening to our content, you too are advocating for justice for these families. Thank you for making a difference in their lives as well.
We want to share a few ways you can support us to continue our mission. You can become a Patreon subscriber for as little as $1 per month, or a simple rate and review on your favorite podcast platform helps us get in front of someone who may know something.
We will continue traveling state by state seeking justice because we will be there no matter where,
No matter who.